Welcome back to the Wizard's Lair podcast, where we break down every episode of Wizards of Waverly Place. This is episode 10. I'm Daphne, and I'm with my husband Xander. Today we are talking about season 1, episode 10, called Pop Me and We Both Go Down.
Thank you, everybody, as always, for joining us on another exciting episode breaking down Wizards of Waverly Place. So before we even get down to business, breaking this episode down, I want to real quickly just give a shout-out to Selena Gomez, who's had a birthday yesterday.
Oh, yeah, 31.
31, so we want to wish a happy birthday to the Queen, Selena Gomez. We hope you had a, dare I say, magical day. But at the same time, I also want to wish a happy birthday to David Henry, because he also had a birthday previously before that. So Selena's was on the 22nd of July. David Henry had a birthday on July 11th.
Oh, great. Both July birthdays.
So, yeah, absolutely. So happy birthday to 2 of the 3 Russos.
Yep.
And we'll get into breaking down this episode because this one was a fun one for sure.
It was.
This was another episode where you have the writer sort of taking a magical spin on an average teenage experience.
Yes, very
getting
much.
a zit before a prom, or just getting, having acne period.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they take this and give it a little magical spin. So we're going to get into all that and more. Where should we start? Do you want to quickly give us a little breakdown and kind of run over the episode real quick?
Okay, so the main story of this episode is, like you said, just Justin getting a big zit on his forehead right before he's going to prom with his crush. And so this is obviously a big deal to him, and Alex tries to help him, but accidentally uses the new spell they learn at the beginning of this episode and animates it and gives it a face and a voice. So that's kind of the main thing. We don't really have, honestly, a lot of side story in this episode.
Another good point. Yeah, you're right.
It's one of those ones where it's really just the one story that the whole family is kind of focusing on, which is funny. And that's really all there is to it. It's a simple concept for this episode. It doesn't go that deep, but it's a funny one.
It really is.
We were laughing the whole time. I wrote down so many quotes, so I'm going to have a hard time narrowing down my favorite at the end.
For sure, absolutely. So let's go ahead and get to one of the main things about this episode, which is, of course, the return of Lucy Hale as Miranda Hampson, Justin's girlfriend. Now, the big elephant in the room here is that, I think we mentioned this in episode 2, but there was clearly a production/airing issue with these 2 episodes, because in episode 2, titled First Kiss, it's as if we already know who Miranda is. Justin and her have already been dating, it seems, and they're at the point now where they're going to experience their first kiss.
Right.
So it seems like they're pretty well into their relationship. Meanwhile, in this episode, we learned that Miranda is the new girl at school.
Yeah, we meet her supposedly for the first time, which is very strange.
Very, very strange indeed, because it's quite clear that if you reverse these episodes, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
And actually, it makes more sense to me now, even more than ever before, because I noticed at the end, when she leaned in for a kiss, he went right for the handshake, which kind of leads you into thinking, okay, the next time maybe will lead up to, a kiss or a first kiss.
I noticed the same thing, and he was super awkward and uncomfortable, leading us to believe he hasn't had his first kiss yet, so he's nervous.
Absolutely.
So this would have made so much sense as the second episode before First Kiss, and it makes me wonder why it was moved.
I know, sometimes you can maybe pinpoint why it was. I think we talked about why maybe Magic Carpet was moved.
That one kind of made sense.
That one kind of made sense. This one does not. This one is just I don't want to say faux pas, but it's just a really weird blunder.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But I like Miranda. I think Miranda's character is great, and it's a shame that this is the only episode, or this is the last episode that we see her in. It's a shame there's only 2 episodes.
Yeah, I really don't know why they didn't continue with her character, because she was a really good character. She was really funny, and she was a really, really good, almost opposite to Justin, but they complement each other really well.
Yeah, for real, because she had the sort of goth look and personality to her, whereas Justin is, very nerdy and kind of geeky. So yeah, I liked that juxtaposition, if I'm using that word correctly. I like the differences between the 2, but yet how well they work together. So it's a shame that we don't see Miranda in any more episodes. And it's also a shame that we don't actually get a conclusion into their relationship.
Yeah, I don't even think they mention her ever again.
They do, actually.
Oh, do they?
They mention, there's an episode in the future where everybody's making fun of Justin for being single. And he says, I dated the goth girl, the centaur, the werewolf, the vampire. Why do people think I don't date? But anyway, so there is a little bit of callback to it. But I would almost put, if Juliet didn't exist, I would say that this is one of Justin's better relationships.
Definitely.
That we see.
I would say the best one after Juliet.
Yeah, absolutely.
She was, like, super nice girl. She really liked Justin, like, regardless of, him being different than her and a little nerdy. In fact, every time in this episode that he tried to be cool and tried to be the cool guy, she was like, no, don't do that. I'm tired of cool guys. Just be yourself. And
yes.
That was really sweet and wholesome.
The two things that she hates are corporate America and cool guys.
I love it.
And I think in the last episode we saw in First Kiss, she says, I hate corporate America. I'm trying to start a school club. We're looking for sponsors.
Oh my gosh, that's the funniest thing.
And it's funny because by looking for sponsors, it's kind of it's a corporate move.
Yeah, that's so
Corporates
ironic.
always use sponsors to fund their company events as opposed to doing it out of pocket, which is just a business move. But that was pretty funny.
That is.
I love Miranda. Now here we go. This just came to me. So check this out. So I wonder if. Obviously, the Russos and the Wizards are still pretty young in season 1.
Right.
As the seasons go on, the relationships with people get more involved, more complex, and they're more layered. But I wonder why Jerry and Teresa would even allow them to date, because maybe it's just because they're young and it's not going to go anywhere. But we learn in season 2 or 3 that wizards can't date or can't marry non-wizards and can't be with them. So I know it's just kind of fun teen dating, but it's almost like, what if, like, in an alternate universe, Miranda and Justin really hit it off. They worked really well together. They stayed together throughout the whole series, and then Justin had to just break up with her because he can't tell her he's...
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. That's something I've never thought about.
Well, no, me neither.
And even if he did tell her, like Harper, Zeke find out, that kind of thing. Even if he did tell her, like you said, they're not supposed to marry mortals. But I'd say their reasoning is probably just, like you said, they're young, so the relationships aren't likely to go anywhere. And also, there's 2 out of 3 of them, supposedly, the way that we think, are not going to be wizards.
So they might as well have...
I don't know.
They might as well have some connection and relationship to the real world. Yeah. They do live in the real world.
But that is a risk, though, that the parents and the kids, because they know, I'm sure they are aware of this, since that's what... The reason that Jerry gave up being a wizard was for Teresa.
Facts.
So I'm sure they're aware of that rule. So that's kind of like a risk that they're taking every time that they date somebody, which is so interesting. And they might not think about it because they're just kids having fun. But that is a really good point, and I never would have thought about that.
I bet that Justin is the kind of person, kind of like his dad, who if he and Miranda had stayed together, he would probably
give it up for her.
Give up his powers for her, although he still might not tell her or be able to tell her. Or no,
he would.
He would have to, because if they have kids, Jerry and Teresa had kids and they were still wizards,
right?
So it's possible that Justin and Miranda would have had children and they would have possibly been wizards too.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So I guess she would have had to know at some point. But if wizards can't marry non-wizards, then I think Justin's the romantic type.
I think he
would probably, even though he is very much a wizard and loves to identify as a wizard, he loves magic and respects magic and loves to learn about magic. I think that when push came to shove, I think he would give up his powers.
I agree.
Same as Jerry.
I definitely think he would, because I think the thing about Justin, like you said, he is a romantic, but also as much as he loves magic and like learning about magic, I feel like his number one thing is just learning in general, just like academia in general, because I feel like he is just as passionate about his real world academics.
Oh yeah, true, very true.
His robots and his like nerdy stuff, as he is about learning magic. I don't feel like the magic is necessarily stronger, whereas Alex, that's like her only thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I agree. I think if push came to shove, I think Justin would have chose a relationship over being the family wizard.
Totally agree.
So do you want to backtrack to the beginning of the episode? Because the first scene was one of the funniest opening scenes of any episode we've gotten so far. Maybe the funniest.
It was popping off. I don't mean pop as in popping both go down. Right. That's a bad pun there. But no, you're right. The opening was great. So what for you stood out?
So many things. Literally the first thing that happens is Alex and Max come in from school. And poor little Max, tiny little Max, has one big backpack on his back and another one on his front. Obviously, it's Alex's. And Jerry and Teresa are mad. Like, why is she making you carry her backpack? And he's like, well, she told me that my backpack was bending my spine, so she gave me hers to even it out.
And she takes it off and goes, oh, look, see, there you go. You're welcome for helping.
Yeah.
You're welcome for helping. Yeah,
so,
that was pretty good.
That was a great cold open there.
And then, I'm pretty sure after that, Justin comes in and goes, this was the best day at school ever. And Teresa goes, they finally found the person who put peanut butter in your locker. He goes, no, but this made me forget about that.
That was
the interaction between, Teresa and Justin there was pretty fire. That was hilarious. Great opening.
Another good moment. I'm sorry, this whole scene was just
fire.
Stacked with great writing and great delivery. Speaking of, Justin was talking about his great day at school, and he started by talking about biology and lab partners and how nobody ever wants to be his lab partner. And Alex was like, I have the opposite problem. Everybody always is asking me to be their lab partner. And Justin's like, you don't even take biology. And she was like, I know, that's what I keep telling those guys.
That's so funny.
That
was hey, would you be my lab partner? Like, she doesn't even go here.
Oh my gosh, that was great. This whole first scene is incredible.
Yeah, and then we can go ahead and also talk about the magic in this episode because we get a really cool spell that we will see in future episodes. So this one that they learn is Murrieta Animata.
Yes.
And what's fun about this spell is that the name Murrieta, of course, comes from executive producer Peter Murrieta.
Yes.
And has a spell named after him. We've seen a couple spells that are named either after celebrities like Edgewana Utusis or McReary Time Reary, which was based on Gigi McReary. So this is another spell that has a basis in real life. And I love that. I love how they base some of these spells off of real life people. And it begs the question, I wonder who Gary is, because the undo spell for Murrieta Animata is Garibay Immobilitay. And so I'm wondering if Gary is somebody on the cast or crew.
That does sound familiar, and I think maybe it is. Because we know that Peter Murrieta is the creator of this show.
Right.
He's the creator, showrunner, directs a lot of episodes. Like, he's the reason the show exists, and he's really cool. If you ever get a chance, if you guys haven't already, I definitely recommend checking out the episode of the Wizards of Waverly Place podcast that Jennifer Stone and David DeLuise are doing, where Peter Murrieta is on, because that was one of probably my favorite episode of theirs so far, was interviewing him, because it was just so cool to hear his side of the history of the show and everything. But yeah, we'll have to look into that. I bet Gary is somebody as well.
For sure. And so, of course, this spell, Murrieta Animata, brings an inanimate object to life, and then the counter spell, Garibay Immobilitay, is used to undo that spell and unanimate an object that has been animated. So I think, what were they trying to animate? Was it a cup? I think Jerry was trying to teach them how to animate a cup.
Yes.
Max couldn't do it because there was cheese on the board. He
was distracted by cheese. Yeah.
Justin was distracted by Miranda and prom that's upcoming. And so Alex was the only one that said, she even said, it was easy, I can do this. And she cast the spell, but she cast it on a trophy of an actual person with arms and legs already. So it made it a little bit easier. Now, having said that, though, I did notice that when she cast that spell, she cast it without a wand.
That's true. Well, and I noticed that even when Max was trying, he wasn't using a wand either, which I don't even think he has a wand yet, does he?
Oh my gosh, you're right. He doesn't get his wand until...
They don't get wands, I don't think, until a certain age.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't seem like they use them for everything. Because think about it, like McReary Time Reary, no wand, hands only.
No, you're right.
So I think a lot of them don't necessarily require a wand, but you're right.
But a wand, yeah.
And she did it well, she just did it at the wrong thing.
Yeah. And so I guess a wand is meant to channel the power of a wizard and also maximize it, if you will.
Maybe, yeah.
But, yeah, no, you're right. Max doesn't even have a wand yet. And there are a few spells, like McReary Time Reary, where they don't even use spells. I think another one that Alex tried on, she used Cashmere's Appearance at one point, or maybe I don't know if we've seen that yet, or if it happens in a future episode. But she uses Cashmere's Appearance without a wand. So yeah, it just I guess comes down to the focus.
Yeah.
Max couldn't do it because Jerry's like, "Are you focusing? Are you actually focusing on arms and legs?" And Maggie goes, "No, there's cheese on the board."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my gosh, okay." He even covers the cheese up.
Right,
Like,
there's
this
no
is
cheese.
this is just a diagram. It's just an example. And of course, he has to go over to Justin. But no, Justin is worried about prom. And Miranda actually asked him to prom, too.
Yeah.
She says, "I'm the new girl. I don't know many guys. You seem cool, so will you go to prom?" And so he agrees. And I don't know if it's stress-induced or what, but he ends up developing the largest zit anybody has ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
It is huge. I think even Jerry and Teresa across the room were like, oh, nice one.
Yeah.
Like,
the whole family kind of unites in roasting him over this zit.
A classic Russo roasting, which is pretty key in this series. But yeah, no, Justin's at the brunt of it this time. Zit, huge like a volcano. And this is the part I don't understand, because Alex claims that she has a zit removal spell that she uses to
keep her skin
clean. And I don't know, it's not specified whether that's a make-em-up spell that she made up and has used over and over and it's proven to work, or if it actually is a certified spell that can be found in the spell book. But she tells Justin, hey, I have a spell that I can use. And he tries to shut her down and say, no, don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm good, whatever. And then she, trying to cast the spell, ends up casting Miranda Animata twice.
And I'm not sure why.
Which makes no sense.
I don't know if that's just the last spell that she cast, so that was in her mind, and in the chaos of them fighting back and forth.
That was the lesson spell, maybe, but it just seems so weird that she would, because I wish I could think about what she was saying, because she started to say that spell, and I wish I could think of it, but whatever it was, about halfway, she just stopped and said, Murrieta Animata, and then here comes the zit to life. And it's like, oh boy, now you made a good point. Now, who is the zit played by?
Yeah, so I noticed, and I'm not sure if I've noticed this before or not. I may have just forgotten it, but the face of this zit is played by an actor named Curtis Armstrong, who is fantastic. He's in so many things. I know him from New Girl, Psych, Supernatural. You mentioned he's in an episode of iCarly, I think.
I think so, yes.
He's in a ton of shows and movies. And
he's funny. Super
so funny. So I thought that was cool that they had like an actual notable comedic actor playing the Zit. Like if you go to his IMDb for Wizards, it says the Zit for his name. It's just so funny.
That's so great. They have had some really great guest stars already.
Absolutely.
In this show. And there's plenty more to come too.
Yeah.
There's tons of great stars to come, but they have already had in just 10 episodes a pretty awesome list of guest stars. But you know who was not in this episode?
Who?
Harper.
I know, and I'm so mad about it.
This has got to be like the 4th or 5th episode.
I'm honestly over it.
Almost in a row.
Like, I loved this episode, don't get me wrong, but I'm ready for Harper to come back, and I really hope she's in the next one. Did you look ahead? Do you know what the next one is?
I know what the next episode is, just because I know what the next episode is, and I'm trying to go through my mind, and I do think I see Harper.
I don't think, at this point, she's literally just a sidekick, and they don't really have her as an important character yet, but I can't wait until they realize how much she brings to the show and start having her in almost every episode.
You know what's funny is that one of the things about Harper that we kind of look forward to and laugh about in season 3 mostly is you kind of realize that Harper's a little unhinged.
She is a little unhinged, and she has a lot of darkness inside.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Despite her sunshiny exterior.
I love that.
And yes, she becomes a lot more complex of a character as the show goes on, and I just cannot wait for that.
I'm excited.
Jennifer Stone did such a good job with that character. Oh, can I just backtrack real quick? Because there's something in the first scene that was funny that I forgot to mention.
Oh, yeah, sure. What's up?
Sorry to go back, but
that's fine.
That first scene was just packed full of funny stuff. So at a certain point, Miranda comes in and is talking to Justin and, asking him to the prom and everything.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Alex and Jerry and Teresa are just behind the counter watching and eavesdropping and, calling out little things and embarrassing Justin.
Oh, my gosh.
And my favorite part was, at the end, after all this happened. Oh, actually, what happened, and you knew this was coming, and we watched it a couple of times. They were shouting embarrassing stuff, and so Justin's like, hold on one second. And he throws an entire bag of, chips or something?
It was hamburger buns.
Hamburger buns, okay.
Or sandwich buns.
Oh, that's even better. Okay, so he throws this entire bag of sandwich buns or whatever at Jerry's head.
Oh my gosh.
Falls down.
Smokes him.
Smokes him in the head.
Oh.
So that alone was hilarious. But then... And Alex's face during that part's really funny, too.
Yes.
But then, by the end of this scene, when it goes back to Alex and Jerry and Teresa eavesdropping, they are just huddled together, eating plain...
They've opened the bag of buns, apparently. They've opened the bag of buns, and they're just munching off of it.
They're just eating plain bread, and it's so funny for some reason.
It's so good. See, I like when sitcoms do that.
Yeah.
Because they very well could have just been sitting there the whole time and just kind of eavesdropping.
Right.
But because you've introduced the buns into the scene, you might as well use it. And so I don't think, my 12-year-old self would have noticed that.
No,
but
I'm sure I never noticed it before.
But my 20-some-year-old self is very happy to notice it now and appreciate it, because that scene right there, you're right, was full of comedy. When the way that David Henry grabbed the buns, he's like, excuse me for a second, and then just intensely grabbed these buns and just hurled them at Jerry's face. And the way that David sold it too was perfect, because of course that's not going to hurt, nor is it going to knock you down. It's a bag of buns, you know what I mean? But you got to play into it, you got to sell it. So he gets smoked, throws his hands up, falls to the ground, flops, and it's just like that's top tier.
Yeah, that's comedic gold.
That's comedic gold, and it's one of my favorite comedic moments from Wizards, along with Crab Walk, which we'll get to that.
Which we quote all the time, by the way, way too often.
So if you're a longtime Wizards fan and you'll know we're talking about Crab Walk, like and subscribe. That is so great.
So let's try and get back on track with the plot of this episode.
Yes.
So obviously, like we said, Alex accidentally animates Justin's zit, and they have not learned the counter spell because none of them were paying attention during class, and Jerry got mad. So they don't know how to fix it, and he's not going to tell them until they catch this trophy man that is missing.
I guess that's the side plot, wouldn't it be?
I guess the side but it's plot, all related, though.
Yeah, it's all related, but it's like a secondary plot where it's you have to solve this puzzle to solve the other one. So it kind of goes together, but you're right, they're all very related.
So, so they have no way of fixing it before prom. So what Justin does is just wears a hat, and the zit kind of convinces him that he can help him and feed him good lines to say to this girl and everything.
Wings it.
Yeah, so he wings it. So he just rolls with it and goes to prom. Things are going okay at first until the zit starts yelling really offensive and borderline inappropriate things at people.
Very inappropriate.
Yeah, he's catcalling girls.
He says, I want to shake that junk. He says, can I get or what did he say? Can I get a fire extinguisher because you're smoking hot? Yeah, just real cheesy, bad pickup lines.
Bad, catcalling stuff. It's terrible. And obviously everybody thinks it's Justin because the sound is coming from him. I don't know if they think he's just, using ventriloquism or something because his mouth isn't moving. But it's coming from him, so everybody thinks it's him, and Miranda's getting upset. It's not going well. And so he accidentally angers some big 11th graders and calls Alex for help. Mm-hmm. So Alex is like, all right, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to help. Alex is actually very helpful in this episode.
Another Alex saving Justin.
But for good reason, because she feels guilty for putting him in that situation to begin with, because she did do that to his zit. So she actually does end up being able to capture the trophy. She uses a really clever little duct tape finish line to trap him.
Smart.
And so then I think, does Jerry give her the spell at that point?
Yeah, at that point he says, okay, now it's time to unanimate it, and then he gives her the unanimation spell, which she then relays to Justin.
Yes, so that we can bring the zit back to its normal. It's still there, but it's just a zit.
At least it's not talking and harassing women.
Right. And then after that, everybody goes home, and he's really upset. But luckily, Alex did kind of save the day again, and she kind of ran after Miranda and told her the reason Justin had been acting weird was because he had this big zit, and he was embarrassed, and she was like...
Which she ends up having one, too.
Yeah, she does. Which Alex also roasts.
Yeah, that's a honker. It's my goodness,
Come
Alex.
On.
Honker. I like how that was...
Yeah.
That was the word choice you went with, but yeah.
So everything ends up being okay, and they have their cute little moment, although, like you mentioned, they do not kiss.
It would be perfect. It would be a perfect lead-up.
Yeah.
In my mind, kiss. I'm going to... I wish I had all these episodes for myself. I would just, on a DVD, as it were, reorder them and make it to where it's correct. But no, either way, it is what it is. It's a cool episode. And this has been really fun breaking it down. Did we have any actual exposures of magic in this episode?
I don't think so. There would have been, but I don't think anyone was paying attention. So at prom, when Alex does the... So what is the reverse spell again?
Garibay Immobilitay.
Yes. So when she does that... I mean, she does it right there in front of everybody, but I don't think anybody's paying attention.
Justin had his back turned. She was in front of him. They were up on stage. My issue is with the fact that Justin was taking a drink of punch.
Yeah.
And the zit is talking to the girl next to him.
Yeah.
And then after that, the Zit says to the other girl, hey, why don't you grab a cupcake and eat it real slow?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's eating a cupcake, trying to stuff his face and be like, that wasn't me, I didn't say that. But she says, that was you, how are you doing that? And so, I guess it really isn't an exposure of magic outright, because there is no, hey, there's something supernatural going on here. Right. It's more of like, why are you saying that? Why are you being mean? And then she kind of goes along with the whole Zit story and him being weird. But I think that if there had been any more pressing into it, and then if the Zit had talked again, and she pointed to be like, oh, see there, your mouth wasn't moving. It seemed like even though his mouth wasn't moving, everybody was just kind of assuming that it was Justin.
Yeah, well, and like I said before, it almost seems like they all just assume that he's doing it like ventriloquist style. You know what I mean? Which wouldn't make sense with the food in his mouth.
He's been a wise guy, eh?
Yeah, but like if his mouth isn't moving, like he maybe could have pulled it off. But like you said, while taking a drink and while eating a cupcake, it doesn't really make sense, but I think everybody is so shocked by what's being said that they almost put aside the fact that it doesn't make sense.
I agree.
And like you said, if it would have been pushed any further, there maybe would have been more suspicions raised, but yeah, I'd say it's close, but not quite.
Yeah, I think we're only considering it an exposure of magic if it is undeniable.
Like blatant.
There is no other way to explain it scientifically, rationally. Like
the dog flying.
The dog flying was the big one. What happened in the last episode? It was pretty... Alex and Justin in the freaking movie.
In the movie, yeah.
In the movie.
Blatant.
Like, could you imagine going to a movie with some of your friends from high school?
Yeah.
And from friends from third period, and then one of them's little sister... And then all of a sudden you see them in the movie. Like, that's just bizarre. You can't explain that.
Makes no sense.
That one counted. The dragon flying, that counted. But this one, I don't think it quite reaches. It is weird. It is suspicious.
It is.
But you can say ventriloquist style, he's being a jerk. And you can explain it away.
You can explain it away, yeah. So I think we're still at 4 then, right?
I think we're still at 4. That's the official counter.
It's not too... I mean, it is bad, but...
4 in 10 episodes. For the Russos, not bad.
No.
Not bad.
But it's still kind of a lot.
Especially considering I think the next episode is where we get to the 2 or 3.
Oh, really?
We get 2 or 3 in one episode, so we're gonna make up for some lost time.
Your memory's better than mine. I can't wait to see what it is.
It's funny how my memory works. It's either at a full 100% capacity, it's working perfect, or it's at 0 and there's no power.
Understandable.
And it's just, it's weird how that works. But anyway, so yes. Is it time for our favorite quote?
I believe it is. I've got to pick one, though. Give me one second.
You got to pick one? Well, then if that's the case, I'll go ahead with mine.
Yeah, you go first. That way I don't pick the same one. Go ahead.
For sure, because I've got mine. I knew it when I heard it. And we've actually already talked about the scene itself in the beginning when Miranda asked Justin to go to prom. And Justin, somehow, his saliva glands come up. I'm not sure how, but
I don't know.
Alex makes a comment about his...
Overproduction of saliva.
And then Justin says, I have overactive glands. We're looking into it. And says that to Miranda as his defense.
Yeah.
Which that's when Jerry says, it was worse when he was a baby. We had to put a diaper over his head. And then Justin grabs the buns and hurls them at Jerry.
Yes.
So that's the whole scene there.
That was hilarious.
That's where my quote comes from. Not just in the delivery, because David Henry did deliver it well. And of course, again, he's defending himself against his girlfriend. But also, this actually plays a part in future episodes.
Yeah.
Not only does Justin have overactive saliva glands, he also has overactive sweat glands.
Yes, you're right.
When he's holding hands with Juliet, he gets sweaty palms, and she says, that's okay, I like your sweaty palms. She says, don't worry about it, no big deal. But he's kind of self-conscious about his sweaty palms because he has, I think he even says, I have enormous glands.
Enormous, you're right.
I think he even says
I have enormous glands.
Was it my favorite quote from an episode? That as well at some point? Hang on a minute.
Let's go back and look.
Let me go back and look.
Is this already the second time that Justin has talked about his glands?
Oh my gosh, it is!
No way.
Yes.
What was it?
Episode 2! When he's holding hands with...
Oh, so it wasn't even Juliet. Okay.
Well, it is.
It
happens then,
later.
too. But it also happens when he's holding hands with Miranda.
Oh, my gosh. So this is the second time he's talked to Miranda about his glands.
Having overactive glands.
So
and then it
funny.
happens again when he gets nervous with Juliet. So this actually is a continuing thing.
Oh, my God.
That's
and I love that
funny.
it ended up being your favorite quote both times so far.
That
without
is
you
hilarious.
even remembering. That's incredible.
That's 2 glands. All right.
So I have a lot of good ones to choose between, and that was one I wrote down, but I figured you would pick it, so I had some other ones. I'm going to do an honorable mention first. This isn't my pick, but most of mine are from Alex, because she was just on fire this episode.
Oh, she had a few good ones, yeah.
Yeah. So there was one in that, the second scene where they are learning, or Jerry is trying to teach them Murrieta, Animata, and no one is paying attention. And Alex is mad that Justin is not paying attention because that's supposed to be her thing. And she's like, you're not even doing it right. And she said, this place could be burning and I wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, she goes, I would have really checked out. Like, I wouldn't even know this place was burning. So that was good.
So that was a good one. But the real one I want to do, and it does require some context, we didn't mention this, but another funny thing about that first scene is just packed full of funny stuff.
That first scene, man.
Jerry talks himself into a hole with Teresa a couple times.
Oh.
Justin is talking about this hot girl at school, right? Or the hottest girl ever. And Jerry's like, oh, Eva Longoria goes to your school?
No.
Which I pointed out to you because Eva Longoria is a famous actress. And I
thought it was made up.
No, he didn't know who it is.
I don't know who Eva Longoria is. Who is that? Show me a picture.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is.
Look her up on the computer right now.
Look her up on the computer.
You'll recognize her. She's very famous. Do you recognize her?
I don't really recognize her that.
Oh, that's so funny. Anyways, but she is very famous and well known. And I pointed out that it's really funny that even though obviously he should not have said that in front of Teresa, he does have a type because she is also Latina, just like Teresa.
That is so true. Good point.
So I think that's low-key Jerry's type. So,
I'm sorry, but real quickly, Justin also says that he's with an older woman, and then he goes, oh, just like your mother, which actually I don't think is correct. There's an episode where Teresa calls him old man, and he goes, I'm only like a month older than you.
Oh, interesting.
So I think in a future episode, I think there is a continuity error there, because I can think back to when she says something about calling him old man. He's like, I'm only a month older than you, or 2 months, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. So obviously, Teresa is mad, very mad about all of this, and it shows on her face. And so then we're in the lair, after the failed lesson in the next scene, and Alex is talking to Jerry about all the stuff that he said earlier to Teresa. And she was like, Mom was pretty mad about all that stuff. Let's relive it. We'll play parts. I call Mom.
And then she did like this
perfect sassy Teresa face.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
That was pretty good.
That was so funny. And just the way she said that. Let's play parts. I call Mom. And then does just the best impression.
Is that your quote?
That's your
quote?
Yes.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. So I'm choosing a quote from Justin. You're choosing a quote from Alex.
Yep.
Two Russos are going to end it with the quote. So this is a really fun episode. I had a good time breaking this one down.
Definitely. This was just a funny episode. Like, it wasn't that deep, but it was packed full of funny writing, and I loved it.
Which is funny because you and I were both, honestly, before watching it, we're like, oh, this was the one where he has the zit at prom. We weren't thinking it was going to be
No, I wasn't looking forward to
special.
it because, not that it's not great. All the episodes are great, but I'm kind of itching to get to the deeper stuff and later on in this season,
I have so many
especially
theories.
In the coming seasons.
Absolutely.
Because it does get a lot deeper, and it gets to where each episode ties together instead of them just being standalone, and there's recurring characters and really deep stuff. And so we're really looking forward to that. So I was like, oh, this is a silly episode. This is just a dumb one. But no, we had a great time.
Really good one. And I'm looking forward to the next one, too. So if anybody is still listening to this podcast up to this point, please like this video, hit subscribe, and leave your comments. We don't really have that big of an audience yet, even though we're 10 episodes in. So be part of the first, to leave comments and engage with us. Talk about your memories watching the show, your favorite parts of the episode. If you have a favorite quote, leave it.
Give us I would love for people to start sharing their favorite quotes if you're watching along with us. So please leave us a comment.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear from you.
And then if you really want some more extra Wizards content, you can follow us on Instagram. We have an Instagram page where we post updates about our podcast, fun Wizards content, and then of course, like we said in the beginning, when we talked about Selena and David's birthdays, we celebrate birthdays on Instagram. So yeah, if you want some more extra Wizards content, please follow us over on Instagram. We're going to continue going through every single episode, talking about one of the best Disney Channel shows, and just have a really good fun time doing it. So thank you for joining us.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next time.